talk to y'all today about what it's like to be a... Man, my dog is making some crazy noise back there. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you guys today about what it's like to be a work from home mom of a special needs child, because I noticed yesterday when I was writing a Medium article about this that there is not a lot of information out there. And I know that I am not the only special needs mom on this planet who works from home. And I know that certainly in the beginning that I was not the only special needs mom on the planet that wanted to make the switch to doing that. And of course, that was not the only reason why I wanted to work from home. But it was one of the reasons. My son, at the time when I started working from home, he was my youngest, and he was 3, turning 4. And we knew he had autism. We were not sure at the time how severe his delays were going to be. He's turning 13 now, and of course he's much taller, much bigger. He's still primarily nonverbal, and he can do certain things for himself, and he can use the bathroom by himself, and he can do a lot of things on his own, but he'll never be able to live on his own. So I will never truly have an empty nest. And to some degree, I'm okay with that, because when our now 21-year-old son graduated and then went to boot camp, that was really difficult for me. And I had to, even though I'd been working from home for quite some time, he was, out of the older two, the big time mama's boy. So that was really hard for me. But anyway, it can be really difficult to kind of get into the groove and work from home. And so I wrote an article yesterday and published it on my Medium account, but I thought it would be a really good idea to create this live stream. And I think it probably says, and I should edit my title. Hold on just a second. Working from home with a special needs child. You can tell I don't do a lot of these. What's it like to work from home? There we go. All right. And if you are wondering why I'm also not live on Facebook, because typically when I do these, I'm live on Facebook as well. That is because Facebook decided to get punitive with me, and my original Facebook page, The Robin Bull, they took down last year over a Jeffrey Dahmer meme from the previous few years. And that's fine. It's their playground. It's their rules, right? And then this year, they decided to slap my hands and lock down my page, my new page, and my groups, because I have a writing group on there for freelancers, for 90 days for a page they already deleted for a meme from the year before. So another Jeffrey Dahmer meme. Facebook has zero chill. Anyway. So with that being said, what we're really here to talk about, that's why I'm not live on Facebook today, and that's why I'm only live here on YouTube. We are talking about working from home with a special needs child. Because again, I understand what it's like, and special needs, though, it's really a broad spectrum. So I want to point that out. And so this really isn't the be-all, end-all conversation of what it's like to work from home with a child with special needs. I have a friend named Amanda, and she has a son with serious special needs, and she works from home and runs a business. And so she also has a little girl who's about 2, and then she's pregnant with her 3rd child. And so, of course, how she runs her business is different from how I run my business. And so this is really just one conversation in what it's like. And she and I actually recorded a podcast last year in self-care for special needs moms. And really, it's for all parents. It's not just for special needs moms, but it's just, like I said, though, this is one conversation of many that should be had. And I know that yesterday when I was working on my article, it's just, there's not a lot of information out there. And I think that working from home as special needs parents, it's something that can be accomplished. And I think that it's something that a lot of special needs parents are worried about doing because they're afraid that maybe working is going to take away from their child, and it's not. If you're interested in working, like, you don't have to work. If you are totally on board with just being the best stay-at-home devoted parent you can be, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I'm not taking away from that at all. This is more for if you are interested in becoming a work from home parent. Okay, so please understand, I'm not taking away from that, and I'm not saying that you need to become like this total go-getter where you have to make 6 and 7 figures. I'm not saying that either. Success is a discussion that you have to define for yourself what success is. But that too is a conversation for another time. These are just kind of my tips on how I've made it work for me. So, working from home is definitely becoming increasingly popular as more and more people look for different ways to maintain the work-life balance, and not just because of the pandemic, but as a pro tip, I would like to point out that work-life balance doesn't really exist. It's just life. Everything we do, it's just part of life. And especially when you work from home, regardless of whether you have special needs children, neurotypical children, both, no children, everything we do, it's just life. Because when you have children at home at all and you work from home, it's when you're working, you kind of feel like a jerk because you're not spending time with your children. But when you're spending time with your children, you're worried because you're not working, because now you're not making money to take care of them. And that's just the way it is. There are many parents who juggle the needs of both special needs children and neurotypical children. That's what we did. We had 3 sons in the home. Each were actually neurotypical and atypical in their own ways. But even if you just have a special needs child or more than one special needs child, it can be just so different. Or even if you just have neurotypical children, it can be a lot. Even just one child, it's a lot. It really can be a lot. It's hard to balance the time and energy needed to care for one or more children, and it doesn't matter what sort of needs they have. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible. So, as a special needs mom of an almost 13-year-old child, and as I told you, he is nonverbal and he does have some serious delays. And I've worked from home since he was 3. And as I said, I have 2 other children who are more neurotypical. They're over 18, like I said, and they're out on their own. I'm bringing up this subject to talk about some important points on how you can successfully work from home, but there is sort of a disclaimer, and I put this on the article, but I want to talk about it here too, because I know that when you're online and there are some things about working from home, and there are some things about, being a work from home parent or work from home spouse, or, I'm a writer, so, there's the ultimate guide, the complete guide, the this guide, the that guide. There is no such thing as the complete guide to parenting, the complete work at home guide for moms. There's no such thing. Okay, all of our journeys are different. And especially when you have children, there's no such thing, especially with a special needs child. And it's the same if you just have a neurotypical kid. I'm just going to talk about the major points that I believe come to fruition that you really need to consider if you're a special needs parent like me and you want to work from home like I do. Because it's parenting and it's working from home. You're always going to have questions of some kind. I've been doing this for 8 years and I still have days where I have questions about what I'm doing, and am I doing the right things, and am I spending enough time with my kid, and am I making the right decisions by my clients? And it, because some days it's like riding a bicycle in hell and everything is on fire, including your bicycle and maybe even your pubes. And that's just life sometimes. So it's not always, and I'll say this again later, it's not always sunshine and roses. So one of the biggest things and the hardest things when you have kids, period. And it's pouring down rain here, you guys. So it's learning to manage your time when you work from home. Working from home with a special needs child is extremely challenging. Working from home with any child is extremely challenging. But when you have a child with extraordinary needs of any kind, it's very challenging. There are both personal things and business things that you have, and they need to be accomplished. And guess what? A lot of the times, those things take much longer, especially the business things, than they would if you're in an office or if you have a neurotypical child at home, just because you have a child with significant needs. And when you're a special needs parent, you just have to accept that's just how our lives work, right? And because of this, we just have to become the master, the mistress, whatever you want to call yourself, of time management. And we have to learn and accept that we're learning how to work these parts of life and business as a whole around the needs of our kid. So time management is a must, and it's very difficult to do when you're a special needs parent. And that's period, full stop, end of sentence. Okay. You have to create some sort of time management sanity for yourself, because unfortunately, I know that I'm not, so a lot of you are not, dealing with the prepare your child's clothes a week in advance, lay them out, pack their snacks, get their little games together, find them things to do, blah, 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 blah. Because for most of us, that's just not reality, you know? So for those of us that can, we can create a little bit of a schedule for them. I know that my son thrives on a little bit of a schedule. He doesn't stick to it to a T, because we're not talking. I know a lot of autistic children love schedules. He does thrive a little bit on one, but he's not kind of a, hardcore schedule person. Not all special needs moms get that luxury. So my best suggestion is to do kind of what I end up having to do. You have to learn how to work when they are engaged in something. And I know a lot of the times that means, though, we're already super tired. I know I am. I also have a connective tissue disease and chronic fatigue. So my middle name and my first name and my last name is fucking tired. All right. So anyway, I spend a lot of the time with my son when he's home. He is in school. He may be watching something on TV. He loves Disney. Like, just, have you guys noticed that about a lot of special needs kids, especially kids with autism? They just have like this little obsession with Disney. He loves Disney, just loves it. He might be playing a game on the floor. He loves Perfection. It's one of his favorites. He's got this little skee ball game that we got from Five Below, and he loves to play that too. He has one or two games on Pogo, the website, that he plays on my account, and I'll disable chat or whatever. Not that he pays attention to it, but he'll get in there and play. We just call it the balloon game, and he'll get in there and pop balloons or whatever. But we're in the same room, and so I make sure he's engaged with something, but I'm in there with him and I'm working. If I need to have a video conference or a Zoom conference, I try not to do too many of those. They're really exhausting for me. Or a phone call. I make sure to schedule those for while he's in school, or if he has like a therapy appointment and his dad takes him, or at a time where his daddy can keep him busy. Because like any child, the minute I am on the phone or otherwise involved in something and he knows it and there are other people involved, he loves to raise ruckus. But my husband and I are on the same page when, it comes to like family time and work time. And I do recognize that not everyone has that luxury. I was in that situation with the previous marriage, so I do understand that. My husband recognizes that what I do for the family, as far as working, is for the benefit of our family. So, and when Uriel was a toddler and before he was in school for a full day, I worked when he slept a lot of the time. So I would pull some really weird hours, but he also was a terrible sleeper. Like he would sleep maybe 3, 4 hours a night. So, and it was close to impossible at that time to work during the day because of his delays. He had this incredible need for my attention, which was fine. And he would have outbursts more than, he grew out of a lot of that. And for his first couple of years when he was in school, we lived, a couple blocks away like we do now. I had to go to the school every couple of hours to help them calm him down because he would get really, really upset. So what I'm saying is ultimately time management becomes a game of what works for you. So you learn to work your business around the needs of your child. My favorite schedule is actually 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., although currently my body does not like it. I can work until my son wakes up, which is usually around 7 in the morning, and he goes to school at 8. And with that schedule, generally I would be done around, the time he gets home from school. So sure, working from home has its perks. And I do also recognize that it can be exhausting and overwhelming, but you do get some benefits. A lot of the time, you're able to do fun things like open the doors and windows, enjoy some fresh air while you want. I like to go outside. Not today, it's pouring rain. I'm extremely noise sensitive, so I tend to wear over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones, and I'll listen to podcasts sometimes while my kid's watching his Disney princess movies or Winnie the Pooh. High-pitched voices from cartoons gives me screeching headaches, and it did also when my kids were little, the older two. I couldn't watch them when I was a kid. And I think actually what that was, when I was 5, my brother, who's 5 years older than me, hit me in the head with a metal baseball bat. We were playing outside together and he hit me. And we were on a sidewalk and he popped me in the head accidentally. And then I hit. So the bat hit me right there. I actually have a dent in my forehead. He hits me. I hit my head on the back of my head on the sidewalk, and it caused some damage. So yeah, that's just my theory. So how do you make it work when you're working from home with a disabled child other than time management? And it can be difficult, like I said, and some days can be extremely challenging, but it's not impossible to work from home successfully. And here are some of my best tips for being a successful work from home parent. You know your child better than anyone. Now you have to really pay attention. Ask yourself some questions, okay? When are they most engaged and in a great mood during the day? So for Uriel, that's typically in the morning. He is such a happy kid in the morning. When are they in school? If they are. Obviously, I know Uriel's school schedule. What is their therapy schedule? Because, if you're the one taking them, then, you can't well, maybe it kind of depends on the type of therapy. Are you back there or not? Can you work during that time or not? Take a true look at your schedule and their schedule. Find the best parts of the day and week that you can generally work, because sometimes you have to just find the nooks and crannies that you can get things done and work around them. Understand that working from home isn't always sunshine and roses. So before the pandemic, and even now, working from home tends to be glamorized, and it does have some perks. Your perks may be different from mine because I have things I love, you have things that you enjoy. So you have to understand also that a bad moment working from home or a bad day doesn't mean the entire experience is crap. I mean, it could be, because honestly, working from home isn't for everyone. I've met people that thought they wanted to work from home and then turns out it's really not for them. I have bad days and weeks sometimes, but it's not because of my kid. It's not because of my clients. And then I'm fine. I'm weird. It just happens. A lot of the times for me, it's typically during the cold weather season, and it's because I can't get outside. It's too cold for me because I'm cold intolerant. And like any job, working from home, and it doesn't really matter what you choose to do, over time, it gets boring. It becomes a chore. You need to change the scenery, you need to change your pace, and you just get to where you don't like it. But don't take your day out on your kid, and understand also that your kid is still entitled to having a bad day. So don't get upset with them if they're having a bad day and you're stressed out because of what you're doing. So determine what you do not want to do from home. And I've said that before. You need to draw a hard line with the things that you don't want to do, because the last thing you need as a special needs parent is to hate your job. You already have enough going on in your life. So the thing is, when you end up getting stuck working, I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's my cat trying to get out of the room I have her in, but if I let her out right now, she's going to harass the dogs. The last thing you need is to think that working from home is crap. When it's not crap, you'd probably love it if you were doing something that you enjoy. And so I don't want you feeling like that. Let's see, what is that? That is my son. And I don't want you feeling like that. So I feel like people would give working from home a fair chance if they would choose something from the beginning that they might enjoy. And then the other thing to keep in mind is if you're starting a business, it does take time. But it also takes time if you're just looking to become a remote employee to find a job. Okay? So, and if you're worried about scams, here on YouTube, and I think also in my podcast on Anchor, you can just go to confessionsfromthecouch.com and click the podcast tab. Pretty sure I have something on there about how to avoid scams. And on confessionsfromthecouch.com, if you prefer to read, just use the magnifying glass image, and that's the search, and type in the word no scams. And there is a big blog post there for you about how to avoid scams. I don't want any of you, special needs parent or not, I don't want any of you getting hit by a scam, okay? So then I want you to think about the things that you have talents and skills in and what you would love to do. I'm not talking about education. Education is great. Education is helpful. It's not the end all be all, okay? I had, in my opinion, zero experience as a writer before I became one. Unless you count the time I spent as a paralegal. But, well, that's a skill, writing. It's not like I was getting published. It's not like I knew SEO. It's not like I kind of knew how to write for an audience, the judge or whatever, but that's different than writing online, okay? But you need to be happy, like I said, with what you're doing. You are a better parent when you're happy. You're going to be a better business owner or a better employee when you're happy with what you're doing. Overall, it makes the entire work from home experience better. I have things just here in my home office that makes me happy. So this is actually used to be Uriel's nursery when he was a baby. Hence the moon and stars on the wall. We didn't repaint it because since I have super sensitive eyes, the paint color in here is very helpful. And then you guys see that red thing on the wall? Well, you can't see it super close, but if you looked closely, you would see some black glittery stars. My niece painted that for me, one of my nieces. I won't tell you how many nieces I have because I would probably miscount. I have a bunch, okay? A bunch. It's great. I love them all so much. I have up here, you guys can't see it, I have a frog, a musical, Turns frog from my great-grandmother. It's actually haunted. You guys won't believe that, but it's haunted. Over here, you guys can't see it. It's giving light into the room, plus I have the curtains open in front of me. My husband's grandfather's lamp that came from Germany because he was from Germany. Like, I have so many little things in here that just make me happy, including a bunch of craft stuff. And, my very messy bookcase that I've still not straightened up, despite recently writing about why you should straighten up your office. Do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, so, all right. So then you need to figure out how many hours or days, whatever. I mean, it's a work in progress sometimes. You can devote now and eventually to working. This isn't going to be a hard and fast thing because you're really working around the needs of your kid and family. Now that my son is older and in school full time, I have more time to work. And plus, I had to work around my own health. Last year was really bad. The end of 2020 was really bad. Most of 2020 was bad. Even now I'm waiting to get into rheumatology and stuff, but Crom, I have, most of you aren't going to believe me, but if you heard that, down here on the floor, I have my almost 10-year-old pit bull. He's very gassy. Anyway, I work around my own health issues as well with, I was diagnosed with lupus again last year, and now one of my doctors still thinks it's lupus. The other one thinks it's probably mixed connective tissue disease, but till I get into rheumatology, we don't know. But unfortunately, in my right hip, I've lost considerable amount of mobility. So, but it is what it is. I'm alive, right? And my organs aren't affected, so good times. But with that said, you eventually figure out slowly but surely the hours that you can work, okay? And you end up learning how to work around your children and their needs and their schedules. The thing there that really matters ends up being, what works for you. And that's really kind of known as lifestyle freelancing. And that's initially what I started off doing. Ooh, my lamp is haunted. So that wouldn't surprise me about the lamp either. And as things change, and as you get used to it, and as you learn more about business and as the needs of your children change, you'll be surprised at how you flourish, and it's taken a long time for my business to change. So be easy with yourself. Yes, self-discipline is needed. There are days and times I don't want to work. I am so freaking tired. I sleep 10 to 15 hours a night, probably. Some days I take a nap. But I also get everything done that I need to get done, at least with the business. My husband helps a lot with stuff around the house. Last year I had to hire a 1099 contractor to try to help me get things done to at least keep the business moving and keep things going. But pretty much everything I made went to my contractor because I didn't want my business to shut down, right? It is what it is. I'm trying to keep some light in here. So, you guys know I'm very new to video. So, I'm still learning the video aspect of things. And if you're listening to this via podcast, you're missing the video and it's out on YouTube, so you can go find it there. And it's poor lighting. But maybe you're not sure if you want to work from home yet as a special needs parent or even just a parent. Poor YouTubers coming back to watch this, having to watch me play with the curtain. Sorry about that. Let's talk about some of the perks, some of the pros and cons of working from home with a special needs child. It can be challenging, especially if your child has special needs. Flexibility is certainly an attractive feature, but it means that you're pretty much like a light switch. You're on like all the time in order to keep your business running smoothly. Like small business really is, especially for the first couple of years, if you're going to be a small business owner, as opposed to say finding a job and being a remote employee, you're pretty much on all the time. It's like having a baby. But there are a lot of pros to being a work-at-home parent. You can create your own schedule. Get therapy in the morning, no problem. Is your kid having a meltdown? No worries. Take care of your kid. You can handle your business stuff later. Last minute doctor's appointment? No big deal. You can do the work you love. You're not subjected to just taking whatever work is available if you don't want to. You can literally build the career of your dreams. In most instances, I'll say it that way, because when I was writing this article, I wrote, you don't really have to buy any special equipment to get started. But I mean, I guess it depends on what you're doing. I know that when I started, because, I write for a living and I edit and I do SEO and we've added graphic design, but I just started with the laptop that I had. I didn't really need anything special. There's Google Docs. There's, whatever you've got going. I've known people that started on their cell phone. Okay. So, I guess it depends on what you're going to do. All right. So you can work with people all over the world. I've written for lawyers, better known as solicitors, in Ireland. I've worked with a virtual meeting company in Germany. I've written for businessmen in Dubai. You get to do all kinds of cool stuff if you want to. You could choose to work with people just in your area if you prefer to do that, It's really up to you. You don't have to work in a cube farm. I didn't mind working in cubicles as long as I was left alone. I didn't like being micromanaged, and I definitely didn't like driving an hour to get to work, and I really, really hated dropping my older two sons off at the bus stop every day. If you want, you can take a hot bath in the middle of the day. That used to be my favorite. You could just go out to lunch if you want. You could pick something that you've always wanted to just drop everything and do just because you wanted, I mean, really, you can do whatever you want. Prefer working in the middle of the night? Work in the middle of the night. Whatever. The con, like the main one, working from home as a special needs parent, is that it can be difficult to work when there's a day that my child has behavioral issues. And now those days are really few and far between. But sometimes it happens for other parents. They happen more often, and they can't get away from, the child's noise, provided that, whatever the child is doing, this child is not a threat to themselves or not a threat to anyone else. And it's safe for the parent to step away to get a break, right? And sometimes kids are kids regardless, and they're loud when you're in a meeting of any kind. That's always super fun. My clients know that I have a special needs son, and they know of his propensity to occasionally shout out a Disney lyric or something odd. He's got some really interesting sentences right now. And they think it's cute. They also know it's just something that might happen if he's home, especially spring break last week. Thankfully, the meeting I had, Daddy was home, so that was taken care of, but it's just a risk, Another con to consider is the medical arena for many special needs parents. If you're self-employed, you either might not have insurance for them, or health insurance, as you know, is very expensive, especially for children with complex medical needs. If they're not covered by state insurance, many disabled children are covered by state insurance. And as you know, medical emergencies happen. I don't know how many of you had COVID and had to get medical treatment of any kind, aside from, say, a COVID test. COVID isn't cheap, even for kids. Or, think about going to the emergency room for anything. It's not cheap. Therapy and medication, not cheap. And we love our kids, right? So it's just something to be mindful of. But for me, all of the good that comes with working from home outweighs the bad. I don't have to put him in daycare, leave him with someone, that he can't tell me what happens For me, that is everything. So working remotely as a special needs parent is challenging, but it's worth it. It's definitely more attractive for me. It's flexible because I can work when I need to. If he's homesick, it's no big deal. I'm here. So I'm all for special needs parents who want to start a business or just find a remote job to be home with their kids. And once you're up and running, it's job security, especially if you start a business, because, you can't fire yourself. So it's kind of where I stand on the matter. But you can find me on Twitter. I am on Twitter at The Robin Bull. I'm also on Instagram, The Robin Bull. If you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button. It's the best way to get notifications here. And I would tell you to go and like the Facebook page. You can if you'd like, but unfortunately, it's going to be May, I think, maybe June, until they let me out of Facebook jail over a meme again. Oops. But you can definitely find me on Twitter, Instagram. It's the best places to find me right now other than here. And of course, you can head over to confessionsfromthecouch.com and hit the subscribe button. And I am on Medium as well, therobinbull.medium.com. And I think that's about it. I will see you guys next time.